well, I'm at Westminster and just heading over to meet up with people from Transform and Anyone's Child to get a little bit low down on what they're doing for the rest of the day, before I then head in to the central lobby and meet Caroline Lucas at 1, just to get my point across, and then see how the rest of the day unfolds. And at 3 o'clock there's going to be stuff going on as well, so just really interested to sort of find out various different people's opinions, and also just sort of hone in on mine a bit more, exactly where I stand and what I feel should change. Done our lobbying and good meeting and networking. Out to the main protest out on the lawn.
What it means for if people are going to insist on to have the opportunity and to spend some time.
And we will do our very best to help you and get the campaign moving forward.
Thank you so much for being here. To say that for me, Brighton Pavilion was quite a wake up when I became the MP there. At that time it had the title of being the drugs death capital of Britain. And I'm so grateful to have met so many really progressive, enlightened, sensible people in Brighton who have also recognised that drug addiction is an issue of health, not a criminal issue, and therefore it needs to be dealt with by the health professionals, not by the Home Office. And it seems to me just such an abomination, really, that what is often killing people is not the drugs, it's our drugs policy. What an indictment is that of the policies that we have. So as others have said, we need to be led by an evidence-based approach. We need an impact assessment of the 1971 Misuse of Drugs Act, an act that's 50 years old, that is way out of date. But frankly, I don't know why they're so scared of doing that. You know, if they think they've got the right policy, then they will hopefully imagine that that impact assessment will show them that they're right. We know it will show them that they're very, very wrong. So please keep up doing everything that you're doing. And I know Crispin said, you know, we might be here for the long haul. Well, we might be, but on the other hand, as the decision on medical cannabis showed us just last week, sometimes just something can change public consciousness. And we never know what it's going to be, and we never know when it's going to be. But I think that should give us hope, because we are on the right side of history. Evidence from around the world shows us that. So thank you so much for your courage in being here. Thanks so much for sharing your stories, because it gives us every chance of winning this. Thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Chris. And this is Jake. My son Jake died in May 2016 alone in a hotel room, trying to manage his addiction to heroin on his own, alone. His death was unnecessary and untimely. He'd been drawn into the underworld that accompanies illegal drugs. I'm convinced that if he'd been offered a controlled and regulated heroin-assisted treatment plan, instead of being thrown upon his own resources when he was most vulnerable, then he would be here with us today, doing this. Treating people who've become ill with addiction as criminals can't continue in a forward-thinking society. Jake could have received appropriate, holistic treatment had the policy been different. I'm here because I don't want anyone's child to die as mine did. And I don't want any more families to suffer this kind of loss, where our grief is somehow diminished because our children were breaking the law. Please read the stories on Anyone's Child, I know everybody probably has, and ask yourself how you would really feel about the current drug policy if it were your child. I can't believe that this has happened to my family, and if the law is reviewed, it may never happen to yours.
I would like to say that I've absolutely no doubt whatsoever that had the law been different and drugs been legally regulated, they would still be alive, and I'm quite sure they would be one of the first people to be supporting other people who lost family members in circumstances to how they lost theirs. I've just prepared a little thing which I hope fits in very well with what the politicians have been saying. You know, last few days, the Home Office has been embarrassed and obliged to look at the strict adherence to outdated policies regarding medicinal cannabis. Right? They've been perceived as being cruel and uncaring, and they finally decided that they're going to do something. It's time for them now to consider doing the same thing with outdated laws, to accept that policies based on prohibition have failed and there are other alternatives out there. But there is something wrong with the government that insists its approach is right, while deaths due to Class A drugs, already amongst the worst in Europe, rise annually. Drug-related gang violence increases daily, and stronger and more addictive drugs flood the market. Prohibition has created these problems. A controlled, legally regulated drug market will help us eliminate them. The world was a different place when these laws were first drafted. Other jurisdictions have seen the need for reform, and it's time for us here to change.
Really successful day. I've spoken to lots of parents that have lost children as a result of addiction. Probably the most interesting people I spoke to today, I think, was East Midlands Police Force, and their sort of attitudes towards policing and drugs reform and where they can be effective. It was absolutely fascinating day. Caroline was listened fantastically, really engaging. She had obviously lots of good stuff to say about it. She's already on our side, so I was already sort of speaking to somebody who's well up on the debate, and also, you know, really keen to see things change. So yeah, I mean, it's been a very weird day because I've never been in that building before, and get in there and it is literally like being in Hogwarts. It's a fascinating place to go and visit. And yeah, some of the other campaigners today, they had potentially far harder conversations with their MPs. You know, if your local MP is Conservative, it's not going to be an easy one. I just feel really positive. I feel as if something is slowly changing, and I'm beginning to get a slightly better understanding of drugs policy and how important it is to actually reform and from everything that I've experienced personally, with, you know, through, it was only alcohol for me, but the amount of friends I've lost, it's just sad, really, really sad. So, but I'm taking a lot of positives from today, really a lot of positives. I think it's met a lot of really inspiring, interesting people, and I feel like something's actually going to happen slowly, very slowly. It's going to take a long time for the politicians to catch up with the public, but I mean, that's another thing I've really learned today, is I think that the public's perception is slowly shifting, you know, towards you know, attitudes towards drugs, and it's a slow process. The one thing that has really inspired me and sort of really motivated me is, you know, I was trying to find out when I was talking to Caroline, I was trying to find out what I could do to help her out, really, and within Parliament, and how we can change those more stagnant attitudes towards drug reform. and she just kept coming back to the same sort of thing. Really, just all it takes is for one story to catch a light, like it has recently, and suddenly it's in the news, and suddenly things can happen very fast. So I think it's about constantly just trying to get that story heard, and I need to hear that. I need to keep being told that, because I'll happily stand up and talk in front of people about my experiences and give my story, but sometimes it feels as if I've said it loads of times before. Sometimes it feels as if I'm just saying it to people that are expecting to hear it, and then always afterwards people come and comment on how powerful it is and stuff to me, but doing that from a politician within Westminster to keep saying my story and to keep spreading it is the number one thing I'm going to take away from today. I'm going to have a good think and work out how I can encourage that to happen amongst even more for myself and more amongst others, people that I know, because I've heard some amazing stories, and if she thinks that's the number one thing I can be doing to encourage reform, then I'll try and focus some energy on that and definitely give it some thought for the future. Watch this space.